Hey, Technostuds. You know, every time I got a new piece of equipment, I felt a little like it was a present for me. And despite the fact that I knew it wasn't mine and I knew it was part of my work to get it up and running and set up on the network, I realized all that, but it still was fun to unwrap the piece of equipment. But all equipment comes with its own set of vulnerabilities with it. And so we need to make sure that we harden the equipment when we're putting it on the network. So in this video, let's go over equipment hardening. In this video, we're really just going to take two different aspects to this. We're going to talk about the equipment to harden, and then some of the hardening techniques that we would use to harden the equipment. When you get a new piece of equipment, there's a few things that you need to watch out for. For instance, one of the things is that when it rolls off the assembly line, it's going to take days, weeks, possibly months to get to you, maybe sit in some sort of warehouse. It could be a long time before you actually get to it. So by that point in time, the operating system, the firmware, whatever's in software is installed on it is already outdated and has vulnerabilities, known vulnerabilities that people can leverage out there. So there are things that we're going to want to do to remove some of those vulnerabilities, like update the software. Another thing to watch out for too is it's going to come fully functioning with lots of features turned on because they want you to be able to successfully put it on the rack, plug things into it, put power to it, and it be working with a minimal number of steps to actually get that thing up and running and programmed. And so they want you to be successful and be less likely that you return it. So equipment essentially comes to you very insecure, and we're going to need to take steps to be able to secure that piece of equipment, to harden that piece of equipment. So then the question is, what are you going to harden? Well, the answer to that is everything. It could be networking equipment such as firewalls, routers, wireless access points, wireless controllers, VoIP phones. It could be servers, end user machines, copiers, printers, the Internet of Things, cameras, appliances, anything that comes to you that you're putting onto your network. You should think about how you're going to harden that piece of equipment and what steps you're going to go through to that piece of equipment. There are a lot of different steps you can take depending on what it is that you're hardening. So if it's some sort of Internet of Things device, or if it's some sort of server, or if it's some sort of switch, there's going to be a different process to harden that. So you need to look that up. But there are some generalities. So things like you're going to disable unneeded hardware. If there's hardware installed on the machine, then you're going to disable that or just completely uninstall it if it's something that you're not going to use. Or unneeded ports, unneeded devices, unneeded functions, anything like that on a device you need to take off. Set the BIOS password on it. Set up the boot order. So a lot of things will boot to other devices if you plug them in, which creates a security vulnerability. So if you put a BIOS password on there and then also set the boot order to be different, then no one can plug something in and bypass your security settings. So patch all the firmware and software and operating system. So you're going to patch all the software on there. Change default passwords. Turn off any unneeded or unused services. Turn off unneeded or unused ports of those services if it is serving some sort of service out onto your network. If it comes with unnecessary software, like a lot of laptops nowadays and desktops nowadays comes with a lot of bloatware, remove all that software. Validate any software sources and codes. So if you're downloading new sources, new firmware, new software, if you're downloading stuff, go directly to the OEM. Or if you've got to go to a third-party site, make sure it's legitimate, whatever source that is. Validate the software. There are things like you can use the hashes to validate software to make sure that it is the right software. And then make sure any malicious code is removed off of, any malicious software is removed off of the devices. So we pretty much want to harden everything. There are some generalities of things approaches that we can take when it comes to hardening the equipment, but really it's going to take a little bit of research to find out what is the process that you should go through to harden the equipment that you're rolling out on your network.